wanted to create a convention that we felt like was truly built from the ground up to be very inclusive of everyone, like make everyone feel like they really belong in the world of fandom, because they do. You know, everybody deserves a seat at the table and deserves to feel comfortable and safe attending events, and not to be shut out of like networking opportunities and fun stuff to do. So that was the original impetus, and it's been so much fun that we keep doing it, just because it's the number of awesome people that we've met along the way, and just how much everyone, including us, looks forward to that weekend in October every year. It's not that big a stretch to say that sometimes people do go and then come out a little bit changed on the other side of it, at least in terms of their new friends and their new thoughts on things, and like rejuvenated inspiration.
I think the conversations is what Jesse means. When you come out of it and you've had all of these amazing conversations that you don't necessarily get to have in everyday life, people who are smart and funny and usually quite goofy, and it's becoming a family.
One of the staples of Multiverse is diversity, and that can mean so many different things in so many different ways. So in this episode, we diversify by welcoming speculative fiction author, supermom, and first-time Multiversian Claudia Blood. Then Chaotic Good Fitness is diversifying the fitness game in a space that really needs it. And we welcome in GLBT multi-genre romance author Kiernan Kelly, who has diversified the audiobook and dragon spaces. Then we show you the best way to diversify your own portfolio and your con-going experience by volunteering. All that on this episode of The Spotlight on the Multiverse with your host, Joe Compton.
How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is I, Joe Compton, and welcome to Spotlight on the Multiverse. I am thinking about all of my friends who are currently in Winston-Salem doing Congregate and Saga. This is a certified misfit t-shirt from Falstaff Books, the host of Saga. So I am diversifying as well tonight as I diversify with a sponsor of the Multiverse in Falstaff Books, and to say hello to my friends who are far away tonight to hang out with us. We do have Anita here, which is always great, and nice to see you, Anita. And we have one of my favorite people here who, I'd like to say I helped get to this thing, but, honestly, however she decided to apply to Multiverse, we're happy that she did, because first timers coming, and we love that. And it's the one and only Claudia Blood. Hello, Claudia.
How are you doing?
Good. So I always like to start the show, the interviews that I do in the show, by affording you the opportunity to tell everybody a little bit more about yourself. So please feel free to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you write.
So I am I'm a nerd, and I love science and I love magic, which is kind of a weird combination, but whatever. And play D&D. But I write sci-fi and kind of post-apocalyptic urban fantasies. I don't know why that combination is a good thing for me. I've got 4 or 5 series out there, and I'm super excited to be on the show.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what made you decide that Multiverse was going to be an adventure for you?
So I was on one of your broadcasts, and the crew that was on there, it was the most fun that I've had on one of these panels. It was amazing. And we got together afterwards, and they, at the end of it, they're always like, they talk about all the places you're going to go, and every single one of them's going to Multiverse. And I was like, that is super cool. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I've got kids, and like, it just doesn't always work out timing wise for me to go in person. And they're like, they've got a kid track.
Yeah.
Like, they have a track that is like specific for kids. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe. So between those two facts, like how much fun and how, engaging it was, and like being able to have my kids have fun too, I'm like, I got to go for it.
Yeah, there is always a good contingency of kids that show up at this thing. And this year is really, because of the space and expanding the space, they were able to create kind of a whole track and a whole adventure for these kids, and that's going to be awesome. There's going to be panels and all kinds of nice stuff for that, so that's going to be really cool.
My daughter wants to bring all of her friends, so she's trying to talk me into she's trying to talk me into bringing 2 of her closest friends to Multiverse too. So
wow, are you?
I know. I'm like, all right.
I mean, I worry about bringing myself, but cross country. But man, that's you're talking about what 800, 900 miles down south. That a flight in probably another room that you would have to get on top of that. So
Yep. But I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
maybe
have fun, right? Like they're all social. So
maybe put their feet in the water this time around and see how it goes, and then maybe for the next time, huh?
Well, we go to the local cons and we go to Renaissance festivals together, and she's brought her friends to all of those and considers those like her birthday parties. She brings them to a Renaissance festival and they all get dressed up. So
oh, that's so cool. I love that. She inherited the nerd gene from you.
She totally did. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, so you took. I'm assuming you've already filled out the survey and looked at the survey. Was there anything that caught your eye that you were very excited about, that you were interested in being a part of?
I couldn't believe the number of different things that's going to be available.
Crazy.
I mean, it's like, and I wanted to say yes to everything, and I was like, wait a minute, is this like really? Should I say yes to everything? And some of the stuff, like I want to see. Like I'm a little nervous about doing it the first time. Like some of the games looked amazing, but I was like, well, maybe I'll say no and we'll see what it looks like for next time. But there were so many different, and even the kids tracks seemed pretty interesting with reading appropriate stories for them and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
always one of the most well-attended panels too, not just with kids, but adults always go to that too. There's a lot. I think a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have that kind of experience at a con. So to have that as part of the con was a really great idea to have an adult night and a kids night and separate the two, because I think that really does play into multiverses, multifaceting of panels and opportunities. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was, and the scientific papers and that aspect of it. I mean, I'm
right up your alley.
Fascinated by that, right? I'm like, this is really intriguing.
Did you submit a presentation?
I have not. I did not. I think I missed the deadline. I had a little craziness with life, but I had one that I kind of wanted to do, but I wasn't sure if I could pull it off. So, but I'm really interested to hear what other people have to present on, because there's so many great ideas out there.
Did you want to give us a little hint or taste of what it was, or you want to hold that close to the vest for next year?
No. So the thing that fascinates me is this whole so basically it's that concept of that today's science was yesterday's magic. And so if you go through so what was the Civil War where they had the ghost lights that people were healed from, and they thought that it was magic and it was these angel lights or whatever it was, but they had a kid who actually figured out that it was, I think it was fungus that was actually growing in the wounds because of the lower temperature.
That's right.
And how many of those things, I find that whole concept intriguing. So my thought was trying to go through and figure out if I could come up with these different myths and legends and things that were supposedly magical and have the scientific root cause, and then sort of speculate about what could that look like in the future? Like what things happen today that seem coincidental or magical that do have a scientific explanation for them.
That's cool.
So that was my thought, but
yeah. Well, there's always next year. So
there's always next year.
Put it together, and they'll love that. They would love that. They would eat that up. That's a really good one. I like that. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, and then I'm sure you'll probably attend some of these lectures and enjoy some of them.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna suggest to you if you could get how old is your daughter?
13.
13? Maybe. I don't know how liberal you are with what they experience, but for you particularly, I think the Chuck Tingle RPG game might be something you would be really interested in attending and taking a look at. It is very off color, very crass. I'm just gonna sell you that right up. But if you're okay, I mean, I'm sure your daughter would love to do that, but
She stole our Cards Against Humanity and was playing that with her friends. So there's some.
This is if Cards if Cards Against Humanity lost its mind and turned into mashed potatoes that go on killing sprees. That's
Okay, yeah, she'd be in. Yeah, she'd be in.
And everybody dresses, the panel dresses up, and it's so good. It's so
fun.
Oh yeah, it's so raunchy and just amazingly just loud and obnoxious and really fun. So I totally think that's totally up your alley.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna make that suggestion to you. I've been making this contention because I've been doing a lot of interviews with first timers this year, and the idea is that we're all moving into a new space. So Chuck Tingle RPG, Vanessa, that's what we're talking about. We were talking about the Chuck. I was telling Claudia that's the thing she needs to put on her calendar to make sure she gets to. So and hello, by the way, you did make it. Thank you. Appreciate it. The boss is here. All right. So, and was there any panels because Vanessa's here, so is there any panels you were looking to get on that you're hoping for?
They all seem so interesting. That's my problem, is everything seems so interesting that we're going to roll the dice.
Nice.
Should I roll a literal dice? Wait, I got it. Because who doesn't have like a bag of dice sitting on their computer stand, right?
That's exactly, yeah. And Vanessa says, "Ooh, it's going to be hilarious potato theme this year." Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Is it really potato theme?
It is, yeah. Well, last year they did the mashed potato ones. This one is potatoes is a running inside joke at Multiverse. There's a potato joke that goes around. You'll hear it when you get there, and it's hard to explain without being there and absorbing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. She just put you on some right track panels today. There you go.
Woo! Thank you.
But yeah, so it's very interesting, and yeah. So, but none of that matters if you just go in there and like just absorb the Chuck Tingle thing, because it's just so fascinating and so just outlandish and outrageous, and it's like I said, it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Claudia, if you don't have at least one set of dice within reach, I'll show you my shocked face. This is Callie. Even if YouTube won't let me switch accounts to show that.
I also have, little dice with cats in them.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Of course you do. Potatoes are a thing. It's ridiculous. And this from the pandemic Zoom happy hours. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I was saying, the holding the truth is that we're all kind of first timers, because this is a brand new adventure for all of us. This new hotel, new space, a lot more going on. Does that have a comfort level for you personally, that we're all going to be kind of flying by the seat of our pants, at least in the beginning?
I mean, a little bit, but because of how big it is, there's also a little bit of me worried about, like, I want to make sure I see all the cool stuff. So maybe some FOMO, right? Because there is so much cool stuff going on. But you know what? I think I firmly believe no matter what track I'm on or what things I see, it's going to be amazing.
I firmly believe that too, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to miss something. It's just
exactly. Happen. It's just going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, and I can't get stressed.
Yeah, and yeah, you just can't worry about it. That's the beauty of Multiverse, though. That's the reason you come back, is to experience what you missed the last time. And exactly, Vanessa read my mind. You'll have to just come again next year to see the stuff that you missed this year. Yeah, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah. And Vanessa, I think you came in, but a little bit later. But Claudia was real excited to, mention the kids track, and that she's bringing her daughters, and her daughter wants to bring her friends and make it a field trip. So,
well, they happened to be off of school too, right before that.
Sure.
Like, we got the school calendar, and I was like, "Ooh!" So we might just drive and be like, "All right, here goes a cross country trip."
Maybe you'll bring even more kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the beginning was talking about a little bit. So yeah, it's real exciting. Yeah. Oh yay! This is the first year for the adventure track, so we're excited. Yeah, I was telling Claudia, about that. Yeah,
She's
that's really
13, so worst case scenario, she's really good at dressing up in, cosplay and just like hanging out. So
cool. And she's very social, according to
she's
Claudia
super social. Yep.
Vanessa.
Yep. She got
It'll
that
be
from her
fun.
dad.
Yeah. The kids I've run into at Multiverse are very interesting in terms of where they fall, introvert, extrovert kind of idea, but they all have that kid spirit, and it's so infectious when you get around them.
Don't you wish there were stuff like this when we were kids, like
They're
back in my
right.
day,
Oh,
right?
God,
Like,
yeah,
how
yeah.
cool would that have been?
Oh, I'd probably be super obnoxious though right now if that was the case. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have worked out for me the way that I would have hoped. But yeah, no, I do wish that. Because all I had growing up was like Little League and things like that. So
Right.
yeah,
They didn't really get into this. I mean, I guess I played D&D really young. I started in the third grade. So, but that was like, like one of those weird, like, it wasn't popular then. Not like
yeah,
D&D is like mainstream now almost, which is crazy.
yeah.
Or an RPG.
The thing that we did in our time that I don't think anybody does now, and I know nobody does it now, is we used to we like me and my friends at like 11 years old would have sleepover nights, and we would be doing VHS tape tradings with horror movies. We'd have these like the things you couldn't find on VHS, and we would watch all those movies all night long, and just maybe drink a little. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, who remembers?
Yeah, and
some of those movies were probably better with a little bit of spirit. So
a little bit, yeah. Even then, when you were enamored by them and didn't realize, how they, the sausage was made, right? So
right, exactly.
yeah, so that definitely. It definitely goes for that, but that's what we used to do, and then when we got a little bit older, they had Headbangers Ball and MTV and stuff, and we used to hang out and watch that stuff and do that stuff. So, I mean, I was a shut in as a kid. That's kind of sad, but at least I had friends that
is true. That is true. But I mean, look where you are today, right? I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. There's no doubt about it. And all that helped shape me. So, it kept my love of movies and everything going. So, that's always
good.
Do
the Ruck Hour and look for all of the weird ones. You'd go to the old video stores and try and find like the weirdest one that they'd have, all the flicks.
Well, the coveted one during our time was Faces of Death. That was always if somebody had a Faces of Death, they were like the coolest person on the planet. That was always the coveted VHS tape.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if that made our night if we had one of those.
Had one of those.
But I mean, we went through all the Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all all the murdering Santa Claus movies and everything like that, But creep shows,
Creep shows.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, we've had numerous conversations about your name and the aspect of that you don't write horror on top of that. Which is really just such an interesting juxtaposition. I think it's really cool, and that it's your actual name for most purposes, right? So
so well, and I did write horror for a while. Like I have a lot of horror shorts and things like that. But then I had kids.
Yeah,
and after that, I was like, I can't do it. Like I can't put my brain down that path with these fragile. I can't.
So what are you working on now? I mean, you completed a series earlier last year, right? Was that earlier last year? Am I mistaking that? You were at least close to finishing one of your series at that point.
Yeah, I have a squirrel brain. I will confess, and a little ADHD and that kind of jazz. So I ended up picking back up my Merge series, and I wrote a Feather of Prophecy, and that just came out, and then I'm just having a box set that's going on sale on Tuesday for 99 cents, and I've got Scale of the Dragon is the next one that's coming up on that one, so I think that'll be later this year.
Perfect. Leads us into squirrel. It leads us perfectly into our next conversation that we're having, because Kiernan, she does a lot of dragon stuff with it's very cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so So you're working on some stuff. You're putting some more stuff out there. You know, it's interesting because we've had conversations about you're a very character driven writer as
Mm-hmm.
well. And do you find that are you exploring as your kids get older and you go through life? Are you exploring characters a little differently every time that you take a break and jump into a character that you already had established?
I think so because they uncover more the more that I write about them. So,
Mhm.
some of the different, and I don't do like a lot of romance, it's usually a side plot, but I'm
Yeah.
always kind of surprised with who they end up liking. Like silly things like that. It's just, I find that very interesting. And it's not the one that you would think. There's
Hmm.
very, some different connections that way. But they also it's almost and I'm a pantser mostly. And
Yeah.
so then I start writing and then the characters do something crazy. And I used to fight that in the beginning and be like, no, 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 you can't do that. That's against no, 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 no. And then the story would stop. But once I started like really like, no, okay, they want to do that, let them go. Let them see. If I have to change everything around, I will if this is a better story. So I think that's happened more that I've leaned into them and tried to really figure out who they are as I'm going in a scene.
Do you? I mean, for you write urban fantasy and science fiction, and
Yep.
there's a cat, and
There's
that's
a cat.
there
There's
you
a
go.
dog right here.
We're an
Yep.
official show now, live cat. Um, you know, it's interesting because they're kind of two different, entities in a lot of ways, right?
Mhm.
And yet there's a lot of crossover, I would imagine, as well that you can kind of put together. Uh, do you, when your characters speak to you, do they dictate how the what genre it's going to run into, or do you kind of try to steer them in the genre first and let them do their thing within the genre?
Um, if a character, so like the Relic trilogy, I had a dream that how that story started, and it was definitely a science fiction dream. And so then those characters came in. Yeah, cat cameo with her. You Ender. That's Ender. Um, but it was very much like it was a science fiction, and so then all the
Mm,
characters who gathered around that were science fiction, and they followed those sorts of rules. So far, but I want to do it. I totally want to have like a true science fantasy where there's, robots with magic wands or something, or whatever that comes together, but it hasn't it's still brewing in the back
mm,
of my head. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so usually they just gather to the right story.
mm. Are your urban fantasy characters a little bit more obnoxious than your science fiction characters? Do they speak louder, or do because I would admit because we were just talking off air before we started about the modern day, right? And we actually touched on it a little bit here too. But you know, there's just so much loudness going on right now, right? And it's
Mhm.
like I would imagine that's the hard part about urban fantasy for me is that dealing with characters that get really loud and obnoxious, and that
And I
tends to
can't
happen a lot.
mine tend to be geeks. I mean, I guess I'm writing what I know. So mine tend to be sort of nerdy and they tend to be of course with the wound and whatever else. I don't know that they're truly that obnoxious. And maybe I should lean into that more, but they tend to be nerds as my main characters. So, yeah, because I know that
Yeah,
territory.
I just think about urban fantasy and yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you just let the characters do what they're going to do, and that's the story dictates itself. So it's very,
Yep.
it's very cool. You know, in writing as a pantser, have you developed kind of a flow? Is there something different about the way you write now than when you started as a pantser?
Um, so the original Pantser was, I would write and get stuck and then I'd move on to something else, which is still true. I'm wincing as I say that because I think I've got 5 things that I'm in the middle of writing on with probably about 20,000 words each
Hmm.
that are, I'm not going to say they're stuck, but I moved on to something else for a little bit. And then that's not including the I probably have 10 different things that have 5,000 words that are, sitting on my computer waiting for me to get inspired to write them. So that part's a little obnoxious, but I think I get farther and I've got more techniques of how I unstick myself. And it's usually something like, what was going on with this? Oh, so I'm doing a Christmas story in the at the Cabin World, and there's a mystery, and it turns out there's actually this like baby dragon who's stealing things around town or something.
Yeah,
right.
I remember you talking about this once.
Yeah. So, but I was stuck because I was like, so I had it all kind of written out, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong? And my problem was, the main character was useless at that point, right? Like she hadn't been empowered, she hadn't been and so as soon as I was like, well, F it, everybody else is going to get kidnapped and she has to save the day, all of a sudden the words started flowing. So recognizing what gets me stuck and then going with it, I think that's the one thing that I've learned over time.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So you're not only a pantser, but you're a juggler. I love it.
I am. My Callie, she's always like, wait, which story do you need to talk to? I need to dump the one I have in my brain and like reload from the box and stick it in. I was like, yeah, this is a new thing. Are you ready? And she's like, all right, wait a minute.
Did Callie tell you anything about the multiverse experience?
No, it's her first time too. Yep. So that'll be a lot of fun. We decided to do it together.
That's awesome. Buddies. I love that. Yeah, it's cool to have a buddy, to go into the great unknown, right? So
yep. And at least if everybody else, see, we're first timers club. Woo!
We love it. We want more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily we have people like you who can lead us and tell us what we should be doing.
No.
You can tell us where to stick it.
No, I'll leave that to Vanessa and Jesse and Allison. I'm just happy to talk to y'all about it and let you know that you're in the right space and that it's worth it. And I think ultimately what happens is once you get your bearings and you figure out quite quickly how things kind of roll with it. Yep. You experience your first panel. You go through the dealer hall in the author's alley, and then you hang out at in the bar or around the con at night. You got it down, and then you're either there and hooked or you're not. It's just one of those things,
Yep.
Yeah. And Vanessa, we love new folks, and
Is there too many kids? Is a dozen too many? I'm just asking for
no. That is not a question. Yeah, it's not a question. That's a rhetorical question. It's not. It's not too many. I think actually you're helping Multiverse a lot by bringing kids, because I think it's one of the aspects of Multiverse that is kind of I won't say well hidden or not known, but is one of those things that I think a lot of people are not truly aware of yet, because it's just in its starting stages.
And it's not expected, right? You don't expect that there's going to be a kids track, right? That's not.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too, and I'm acquainted with the size of your vehicles and doing lots of math. But and so I think one of the things that I think is really great about Multiverse that I think you'll really catch on to really fast is that there's a uniqueness to it that's different from anything else you've ever experienced. And that is going to add to that uniqueness, and I think what is really cool is that the way that Vanessa has really worked at structuring this aspect of Multiverse, there's an instructional value that is going to harness some of the energy of these kids and give them a direction for if they wanted to do what you do or want to be an artist. They're going to get a lot of that absorbed through osmosis in this con. And I think that's an impressive aspect of it. That is just, see, we're wanting to build up the younger human participation. Yeah.
Yep.
And then on top of that, they develop these relationships with kids. It's kind of like going to summer camp, like a summer camp. It's kind of like space camp, where it's like one explicit thing that is kind of togetherness that you share an experience, but you also share what you love, and that fosters the growth of it and everything like that. So I think that's it. The more the merrier, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, right now she's trying to talk me into two of her closest friends, so it'd be 3 kids that I'd be dragging along. So
yeah, and Vanessa makes a good point, but we also keep an adult tone for the evening hours. So
fair.
And 13 is right on the cusp of getting a little taste of that, but there's some adult things that probably she's not they're not ready for.
She's 13.
But anyway, it's I mean, we're all excited. I'm super excited, and if I had anything to do with the fact that you're going to be there, I'm happy. I'm happy that that's the case. But you know what? At the end of the day, you had to make the decision. You had to change plans or to do the things you had to do, and so we're really happy that you've done that. And I'm real excited to not only meet you in person in October. I warn you, I am a hugger. If you're not, I understand.
Okay,
but
fair.
But it would be nice to talk to you and hang out with you. And Vanessa says we're looking forward to meeting you in 3D. Absolutely. And it's so welcome to the family, and thank you so much for applying and being a part of it. We're gonna love to have you.
Oh, super excited. Like I said, it was the panel that made all the difference with just how wonderful everybody was and just how the conversation flowed. And I want to try being part of that.
Awesome. Anything you got? Are you not going to vend at Multiverse? Are you? You're just going to go and enjoy the experience, or have you?
Well, I did sign up for an author table. I'm blaming Callie on that too. But my kid says that she'll watch it when I'm doing panels and stuff. So we'll see how this all plays out.
Oh, cool!
I might have notebooks left, and to be like, oh.
Well, you got plenty of time to order some right now.
Yep. It's true. It's true.
Is there going to be anything new that you haven't put out before that you're going to put out on the table that you can get people excited about? Tell everybody a little bit about your series so that people, because there are buyers out here who are watching the show and they're going to be interested. So tell everybody a little bit about it so that you can get some of them to come to your table and go, oh, I saw that.
So I guess the most popular series right now is the Relic Trilogy, and that's about Duff Roman, who it is a distant jungle planet. And he ages out of the orphanage and has to find their currency as relics, these things that actually travel through time. And so what he doesn't know is it's a bigger series, and that there's a time rift that is actually pulling things from Earth's past to this. And it's caused by Ravine, my favorite bad guy or bad gal in the world. She's trying to save her daughter, so she invented time travel. So it's actually a completed series, so everything is completed and it's available in ebooks and paperback. So it's a fun time. Lots of fun things, very unexpected elements. I've got an 80s aerobics instructor that ended up coming up in the middle of the jungle in an alien artifact area. So it's I tend to do things like that.
I'm trusting her with my merch too, so that's Callie, everybody. Ravine is a delightful villain. I love her so. So, I mean, your website's there. Everybody can go check out ClaudiaBlood.com and see. Oh my God, sounds totally amazing. Gonna go get that at Multiverse. So there you go. You see, you just made us sound. Awesome. But thank you so much for joining me, Claudia. I really appreciate it, taking the time to do this. I know it's late for you, and I really appreciate that. And we'll see each other in October, and I'm real excited about that. So
super excited. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're gonna do Chaotic Good Fitness ad real quick, and hopefully Kiernan will join us right after that. So here we go.
Regardless what's out there for you, your body is your temple. Isn't it time for you to take control of your own fitness and well-being? To tell your story. In Dungeons & Dragons, chaotic good is a character alignment that reflects one whose heart is pure, but who does not take the law at face value. They question authority and forge their own path based on their own value system and morals. They value freedom and individuality over social norms and rules. CG Fitness views fitness and health in the same way. We are client-centered, body-positive. We focus on the individual client's needs and goals without trying to fit them into the standards set up by the fitness industry. Each client has a unique background, goal, and body that deserves to be valued and considered when working together. We don't expect all of our clients to look, act, and feel or need the same thing. Some clients want weight loss programs. Some join us for the pain management and reduction. Others have worked with us for pre-surgical body change needs. No matter why you come to us, we will find a way to help you level up. There is no one-size-fits-all magical answer to fitness and health goals, and there is no one-size-fits-all body shape. There's no quick, easy route to take. Making health improvements is hard work, but we are here to guide you through the journey. CG Fitness is about making improvements at your pace for you. So now let's pull out your character sheet and roll for that initiative. So if you're interested in how Kira and her team can help you, you can go to chaoticgoodfitness.com/services. So choose your path to better health and good fitness and tell your own story at chaoticgoodfitness.com.
All right, so I don't see Miss Kelly in here, so hopefully I just messaged, and hopefully we can get that going here. Yeah, lovely dead air as usual. I mean, Claudia's still here. I could bring her back for a little bit. I'm sure she'd be okay with that. But yeah, I just I don't know. Fun. Always good live. Yeah, come on in. Yeah. Please. Yeah. Hopefully we get a message. I can get the message answered and oh, yeah, let me send you the link, Vanessa. Yeah, that would be good, huh? Yeah. Everybody's fun part. The fun part of the show, watching me do all this backstage stuff. All right, yeah, I just sent you the link, Vanessa. So. Claudia was awesome. I love Claudia. She's one of my favorites. So I'm really excited that she's going to be there, and she's I'm not worried about that. If anybody was curious about my quote underneath my name, this is a tribute to the wonderful Shelley Duvall, who we lost earlier in the week. This is a quote that she used to say about how people used to say that you couldn't be happy and be an artist, and the two were never synonymous with one another, and she disagrees, and so do I. So that's where the quote comes from, if you were curious. So one of those people who is happy and an artist. I am that. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where the quote comes from. And I mentioned earlier, just in case somebody's jumping in and didn't know, I am. I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO, being that I'm not in Winston-Salem, to hang out with all my friends over there and doing a little, because we called this episode the Diversifying episode. I diversified myself tonight and put on a Misfit Falstaff Books t-shirt, and that is to pay tribute to one of the Multiverse sponsors, but also to say hello to my friends in Winston-Salem and how they're doing the saga conference and everything like that. And there is Vanessa.
Oh,
Hi.
I have to turn my light on. Gotta find my light. Hang on. I got a new light.
Oh
but
no.
I don't know where the remote is for it. Hang on, let me find it. All right. This is my okay, I don't have a light. I don't have that light because I did not plug it in, and I'm not crawling under my desk to do it now. So let me use one of the old lights. Here I am. But maybe tone it down a little. I'm very, very white. Wait, I'm here. Hi.
Hi.
Please excuse the mess in the background because I've been unpacking things. So,
Oh.
hello.
Hi.
Hi. I usually don't do this till September.
Yeah,
I sent Kiernan a text.
I just and we'll save all of that chatter for the end of the September-ish episode too. But I mean, we'll give a little taste here. But I also wanted to mention, since you're here, we can promote what we're doing on Monday.
Monday.
Which is we're doing a little mashup, everybody. We're going to actually do late night news and then roll right into a conversation and a cocktail where I will be the guest. So you all can ask questions of me, and Vanessa can relay those, and I'm sure she's got plenty of questions for me, as she tends to do. So, and we always have a great conversation, so it's going to be great.
It's more a conversation than an interview, really, because I talk as much as, maybe not quite as much, but I try not to talk as much. But yeah, it's just a big conversation. So I'm excited because I like to have you on the show every year.
Yeah, it's nice.
Just
I love
catch up. Yeah. So. If you want, I can give you an idea of where we are in the multiverse planning.
Please do. Yeah,
because we're at a very good spot right now. So last month I sent out the stupidly gigantic guest programming survey where all of the guests could, say, "Hey, I'm interested in this panel," or "No, I'm not interested in this panel." Like, all of our programming. It was something stupid, like 165 questions. It was just like ridiculous. But we got like 94% of the guests. It was huge. 94% of the guests filled theirs out this year.
That's awesome.
By the deadline. Wow. By the deadline. So, there was one that was a day late, but I left it open for her for a couple hours so she could get hers in, and then, So, that was
Holly happy.
So happy. Holly was like, at one point, it was about a week before, she sends me a text and she's like, "We got 91 of the guests," because I could do the math really easily because we had 100 guests. So she goes, "We have 91 of the guests have already sent theirs in." I was like, "That's amazing." So she sent out reminders to the others, and then like 4 more did theirs. Anyway, so I took that stupidly gigantic spreadsheet and I separated it by track to send out to the track directors, because some cons, particularly bigger cons like Dragon Con, have a whole team that deals with the guests and stuff. And we have our wonderful guest coordinator, our guest director, I guess, director of guest services. I don't know what her actual title is, but it's Holly and she's awesome. But yeah, so they often will have a team or whatever, and maybe the some of the planning and stuff falls to them, right? But Multiverse is mostly a democracy. We are very democratic because so all the directors have a say at each step, from guest selection all the way through the final scheduling. So I took all that, I collated it, and it is all of that information is currently with the directors, and they are selecting which guests are going to be on which panels. So that's what they're doing now. And then in the next few weeks, we're going to have 3 meetings where all the directors duke it out over the conflicts, because of course everybody's like, oh, I want Claudia Blood on my panel, and I want Claudia Blood on my panel. So so we will have, last year I tried to just have 2 meetings that were 90 minutes long each. That didn't work out. Yes, yay Holly. That didn't work out. The second meeting ended up being 3 freaking hours. So I was like, we can't do that again. So we'll have those meetings, and then hopefully we'll be done with that by the first half of July at the latest. And I mean, not July, the next month, August. So go for 4. I'm looking forward to eventually seeing what I need to talk about. Well, you'll be finding out soon, my friend, because we are hoping to I'm hoping to have the preliminary schedule to the guests, because we also do that. We send the guests out there. We send the guests their schedules before con, so that they can say, if they've decided, yes, if they've decided. I've actually started calling it SmackDown, MVC SmackDown. So anyway, so then hopefully around the end of August-ish, all you guests should be getting an email from Holly with your schedule, so that you can let us know if there are any issues or anything like that. And once we get that back from the guests, or the deadline we set, because we've learned that you say, I need you to tell me yes or no whether this is okay by this date. If I do not hear from you, then I will assume everything's fine. So hopefully, whatever that date is, so hopefully we may have the schedule ready for public display in September, maybe. Wow, nice. Fingers crossed.
Did anything surprise you? Was it pretty well spread out that you had enough for every little aspect of it, or did you feel like certain things kind of weighed over certain other things?
Well, we always have situations where, there are certain panels or events or whatever that may not get very much interest. Yeah. Sometimes just because people aren't particularly interested, or sometimes because, they don't feel like they can speak to it. It may be an interest, but it may not be something they feel like. This year, for the last 2 years, I've been trying to have a poetry panel. And I don't have enough guests who are interested. I mean, I have enough to staff it, but the problem is you've always got to have enough to staff it, but then also you need to have extras for when you do the schedule conflict resolution, right? So because you may lose some of them, and I never have kind of enough for that. So I'm going to offer it every year that I still run the writer's track, and we'll get it make. Although this year we did make. I decided to toss a mystery and crime writing panel, and that made the schedule. So anyway, going back to your actual original question, there's always those that don't get as much interest. Yeah. And depending on what it is, if it's something that like the director feels is really important, like they really, really want this, and there's fewer, if there's a conflict, they will by default get that guest, because the other director probably has backups that they can, that have also shown interest. So, yeah. So there's things that just don't make, and some things do. And, most stuff does. We're lucky. We have guests who have shown interest in many, many, many things. So.
Anything you could tell us about any developments in the new spacing, and have you guys changed anything, looked at anything that is you were thinking about that you're going to implement this year, or is this kind of, because it seems to me, and we've had this conversation off camera, but it seems to me like there's a real test element to this particular this year, right? And kind of seeing what worked and what didn't work, kind of idea.
Well, from our perspective, the test is really not the hotel itself, but the location. Because, historically, from our first year, 2019, we've always been in the Atlanta metro area, right? So it's, anybody who's local, they can just drive in and then go home.
Yeah.
But Peachtree City is about 40 minutes south of downtown, or probably an hour south of downtown. And so it's a little farther. It's great for people who are coming in from the airport or coming in from like the West, because they don't actually have to go into Atlanta. But, for those of us who are local and those who would just, pop in for the day and go home and then pop in the next day and go home, that's not that's not really going to be a thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing that is not a big concern, but that's the thing that we're testing. Is like, okay, are people still going to come? So far, it seems like it's still okay. But yeah, so in terms of the hotel itself, we've got a lot of stuff this year that's different from last year.
Yeah.
We've got the meal packages, and I know you've talked about this and stuff. We've got the meal packages and the open bar, which we had the first year, and it was awesome. And we haven't had it since, because the hotel we were in after the first year, let's just say they didn't really work with us very well.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So, I don't want to disparage anybody, but it was just not a healthy relationship. So at any rate, this hotel has just been fabulous. And the really cool thing is, I don't know if people know how this works, but typically hotels, you have to make your room block. You have to make at least a certain percentage of what you commit to, usually like 80% or something like that. And then it used to be, if you did that, you got the space free, but it's no longer like that since the pandemic. Now all of our financial commitment is food and beverage. And all of these things that we're offering, the open bar tickets, the the meal packages, the single meal tickets or whatever, all of that, and we also have a mixology class and I think a wine tasting. All of that goes towards our food and beverage. Goes as a credit towards our food and beverage. So, that's cool. In terms of the actual programming and where stuff is, some things that we're going to have this year that we didn't have last year. We are going to have, hopefully, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a green room for the guests. The guests and the Eternal members, the people who have purchased Eternal memberships. So we'll have a green room, and we'll stock that with like snacks and drinks and things like that. And it'll just be a place, if the guest doesn't want to go all the way up to their room, they can just go and chill out. We will also have 2 extra programming rooms that, we're going to have things, move stuff, like we have additional space, but also sometimes an event will have a bigger draw than the size of the room. So it'll give us another room, or like the Monster Mash, it can get loud.
You don't say.
So, yeah, I mean, trash talking is not something you do at a normal tone, is what I'm saying. So, I actually had a sore throat. My throat was like scratchy the next day because I was trash talking so loud, and I wasn't even on the fucking panel. I was in the audience. But that's in the horror room, and that is typically an air-walled room, which is fine when you're just having a normal panel. But when people are yelling at each other, you need actual walls. So things like that, for that. We're also going to have a room that, in addition to being the performers, like when we have our evening performers, it's going to be like their dressing room. So it will be closed to attendees, but in other times during the day and times when it's not being used in that capacity, it's going to be like a cosplay clinic, like we'll have some glue guns in there, and we'll have, I don't know what we'll have. I don't cosplay, so I don't know what, but we'll have stuff.
It'll be like
So-
it'll be like a triage area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cosplay first aid.
Yeah.
So
the urgent care of cosplay.
That's right. Exactly. Cosplay urgent care. Multiverse cosplay urgent care. That's fabulous. I'm going to have to get a sign made. That's going to have to be a thing.
There's also Studio 54.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And it's Studio 42.
42. Oh, because 54 is the original. Yeah. Right.
Yes, but 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Right. Yeah.
So Studio 42. That was Jesse, one of the co-chairs. That was his very clever idea.
Yeah.
So that was the next thing I was going to mention. So that is going to be a room that is specifically set up for podcasters, streamers, anybody who has a show, whether they want to record or stream live. I'm not sure how good the live streaming is going to be. You've done that before in the past. Have you had any issues? Well, it's a whole different hotel, but it's a better hotel, so hopefully it'll be better. Did you have any issues with like speeds or choppiness or anything like that?
A little bit the first year, but we adjusted the next couple of years after that and figured it out. The real major problem for us the first time we did it, on the patio area was they had music going and it was really loud.
So it was loud.
Yeah. But they shut it off for us. They were very accommodating. The hotel was accommodating at that point.
Yeah.
And then the next year,
employees were great.
Yeah.
The employees themselves were great. The service people were great.
Yeah. And the next year I did that ahead of time, so it wasn't a big deal. But I mean, you learn from it. But I'm real excited about being in the studio space. We will do a live This Week in Indies on Sunday there. So Claudia, if you're not on a panel on noon on Sunday, come and hang out with us.
Yeah.
Sit with us and do that.
And that's going to be, I just wanted to mention, that's going to be available to for signups for anybody. So any of the guests, even if you're an attendee, if you want to sign up and there's an opening, you're welcome to do that. And we're going to have, we'll just say it's just going to be cool. It's going to be fun. So I'm super excited about that because I don't know of, I know of a couple cons that have space for that, but they are actually usually cons that also revolve around online content or filmmaking or whatever, right? I don't know of any just general fandom cons like
South Carolinas did one this year, I was told.
Did they? Interesting.
I don't know how it went. I know that Jay was going to do his podcast from there, and he didn't mention to me how it went or how if he did it or not. But I don't remember.
Gotcha.
I don't remember catching him live on that. But yeah, they had a room this year for that, and I think mostly it was used by Carolinas TV, and I think DragonCon is a whole other animal. They broadcast live, but they have their own studio basically for that. So and that's
there's a whole department for that. Like there's a whole basically track of that.
But
for DragonCon,
I mean, not everybody. I mean, there's like places broadcast live from the event, but they're outside of the event, usually hanging out outside of it and stuff like that.
Like a reporter or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Like when Nerdist used to be at San Diego Comic-Con, right? And so like stuff like that. So
yes.
Claudia had a question in here. I don't know if you want to share this, but which ones are close in terms of panel? Which ones are close? Close that you have to make a decision on whether you're going to run the panel or not.
Oh, for the right, I only know for the writer's track because I really didn't pay that much attention to the other tracks. Where's my paper? I put it on the bottom of my pile because I was done. Really, the ones that were smallest, and it's fine because I had extras. I had extras. So it was a hard decision to make. So the poetry one only had 5 people sign up, and that's not really enough with padding to pad it. Then the mystery and crime fiction, it got enough, but it was also a little light. breaking the binary, writing trans, non-binary, and gender fluid characters. Also light because, if you're, cis, you're it's not going to be useful to have somebody like that on the panel. So
I have to say that one of the best panels that the
yeah.
Writers' Strike puts on every year. It's one of the best. I
Yeah.
sat in that
We
one
don't-
and I learned so much.
Yeah. We don't do it every year. I try to do it at least every other year, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so and that's because that's very specialized, right? It's like the panelists have to be in a niche. It's a niche panel, but the content is not limited. It's not niche like that. So, and then the other one actually was also slush reading, and again, this is because it's a niche, right? So because I wanted publishers, editors, like people who have in their background or their current job the tasks of an acquiring editor, right? So that's very limited. And I had to decide between that and the mystery, because I had one open panel out of all, like I had slush reading on the schedule, and then the mystery one was going to be one of my backups. Except I really, really want to do that. I wasn't sure if I'd have enough people, but I do have enough people. So I really wanted to do it. And we usually do slush reading every year. And everybody's going to complain that we don't have it this year, but I decided to go with the mystery, because that's also one that we absolutely won't have every year. That's going to be one that's going to be, it may never even happen again after this, but yeah.
Are you happy with the story time submissions? Are you happy that you've got a good grouping there?
Oh, there's always a good grouping because it's limited. So for reference, story times are group reading sessions, and the time frame is only an hour long, and there are 10 authors. So everyone gets 5 minutes. And the fun part, and people who haven't been there don't know this. Mm-hmm. So the part that makes it really cool, and some authors get a little salty about only having 5 minutes, but what you have to understand is this is not about your reading. This is about connecting with your readers as a human being and having fun together, like stupid, ridiculous fun together. And you're showing them your personality, right? That's what it's about. It's about selling you, not your stories. So anyway, it basically all the authors who attend have to bring 2 prizes. One of them has to be one of their books. The other one can be another one of their books or something entirely different, whatever. And each person who attends gets a raffle ticket. I'm sorry, a giveaway ticket. I'm not allowed to say raffle because it's not gambling. They get a giveaway ticket, but people can earn additional giveaway tickets by volunteering to do things. And one thing they can volunteer to do is read if an author doesn't read. Some authors are actually dyslexic, right? So like they have trouble reading aloud. So so people can volunteer to do that. But the way people mainly earn their additional tickets is to volunteer to act out what's about to be read without knowing what's about to be read. So they're basically acting it out as the author's reading it. And it is stupid and it is hilarious. So yeah. So we have a real good time with that. So the way I do that, because we have a PG-13 daytime story time, and we have a bedtime stories, which is 18 plus. Mm-hmm. It can get violent or racy, or both. So we have 2. So that's a total of 20 slots. So the fairest way to me to distribute that is to give it to the first 20 people who want it in, or the first 10 for story time and 10 for bedtime stories. Because, they got in there. Yeah. So that's what we do. So, but there's always usually there's at least twice as another whole 20 at least who wanted to do it. So guests, it pays to get that stupid gigantic survey in ASAP. So yeah, it's worth it.
Awesome. So, well, I appreciate you jumping in here, and we'll find out what happened, and we'll get Kiernan in here.
Yeah, I'm guessing Kiernan went to bed because I think she probably forgot. Yeah, because otherwise she would have texted me back.
Yeah.
But
No worries. We'll figure it out. We got a whole other for people
the
who
second
don't.
half of the season.
Yes, for people who don't who didn't get on, who are watching this right now, don't worry. We do have opening coming for the fall season of on our network that we'll be doing these again, and I am doing them again Monday and Friday for now, and we'll have Vanessa on as our season finale as we do always, and and don't worry everybody, I haven't spilled into what I'm going to talk to her about, so there is some more to talk about in this coming season, and you'll see Vanessa and I on Monday, and that'll be exciting, and thank you my friend so much. And I was going to utilize what you said and lead into the next thing, which is, one of the things that is very important to sign up for and to get into is volunteering at Multiverse.
Yes.
The call is out there, everybody. If you missed all of this opportunities that we've been talking about here, the opportunity to still come to Multiverse is there, especially if you're in the Georgia or southeastern area. This is your in. Get on the board, and you can be a part of Multiverse and be with us in October. And here's a little something about the volunteering track, and then I'll be back to close out the show.
Is that time of the year again where we need you. Volunteer applications for the Multiverse Convention are now open. Join us and become part of the team, because Multiverse would not exist without the dedicated help of the wonderful folks who volunteer their time and skills to make it all work. It's a great way to make friends and experience the convention from the inside. All people, interests, abilities, and skill levels are welcome. The details are on the website. Hey, you never know, you could do a good enough job just like this guy did as a volunteer and get your picture taken with the bosses. That being said, volunteering is a really good way to get into the Multiverse Convention because it allows you, if you perform 12 hours of service at Multiverse, to enjoy the con itself. So, what are you waiting for? Volunteer today, and you can learn more information about the Multiverse Convention and volunteering at multiversecon.org/volunteer.
Yes, the beacons are lit, and we are always in need of volunteers. So come join us, please. We would love to have you. And trust me, when we say work, it is work, but it's fun work. It's exciting work. You'll get a really great insight to how a con like this, a beautiful, wonderfully run con, works. It is so magical and amazing, and you will get to see how the sausage is made a little bit by volunteering. So, young ones, we're going to need some young ones for the young track to volunteer for sure. Yeah, put them to work, Claudia. Put them to make them earn their trip a little bit. But yeah, so everybody. So please, come on. I mean, we need you. We want you to be a part of this magical thing that we do. That I'm so fortunate and lucky to be a part of, and just doing what we do here on Going Now with spotlighting the multiverse. And we will be back again on Monday with another great episode. You saw somebody in the chat who will be with me on Monday to talk about multiverse. So another first timer, and I'm real excited about that. And so, yes, another great tease by me that doesn't lead you to anything but frustration, as I love to do, because it's always time to go indie now. We'll see you on Sunday, everybody. Come join us for This Week in Indies.